Hey everyone, Albert McDowell here with another YouTube video, and today I'm going to show you about punching. That's it, end of the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments down below. Thank you. Okay, that wasn't the entire video, but the thing is, the whole point of that was just to let you know, you already know how to punch. You already know how to kick. You've been punching and kicking since you were born. And it doesn't matter if you're a pro fighter, amateur fighter, or no fighter at all, you already know how to punch and kick. If you're no fighter at all, you just don't know how to punch correctly. So the thing is that usually we got someone who's never been in a fight before or never trained before. This is the kind of punch you usually get. They usually go like this. And they have no idea how to do it. The only thing they probably know how. And that's it. They only know how to slap. They don't really know how to actually punch correctly. And that's the reason why in combat sports or even in any kind of martial arts, that's the reason why we teach you how to punch correctly so that you can actually feel the power of your punches. And really send your opponent flying and getting really good gut-wrenching punches. What they call in Rocky, let's build some Herman bombs. And that's what we always use to train our fists for, learning how to be wrecking balls, I like to call them. So, and one of the first styles that actually show how good a punch can be is boxing. Boxing's got the biggest and strongest punches you ever felt or ever seen. That's why most of the time when they're up there punching, they really know how to actually get around the target and how to make the target move. So, a little history. One of the first things that we became once we shared was England. Excuse me. The two kind of sports that England actually progressed in was either fencing or boxing or some form of military tactics. Well, at least three things: military tactics. Boxing is one of the oldest arts between both America and UK. The second is probably savate, the French kickboxing style. But for 2 centuries, since we've been a country and since England actually left us because we wanted our freedom, God bless America, is that boxing became a very good proactive sport and also became a most deadly sport too in America. That was way before karate, way before MMA. But the thing is, a lot of different styles actually knew how to punch. Sure, Kung Fu was frowned upon during the 1800s because a lot of Chinese people came over seeking work and seeking a new life. It wasn't exactly explored until Bruce Lee tried to put in more of a philosophical reason why Kung Fu is what it is. So, from the early 1800s all the way up to the 1900s, boxing has always been the #1 sport in America. Until we went to war in the First World War. In the Second World War, we had to learn how to use judo, karate, anything we could use against the enemy because they were using them themselves. Because the only thing we learned was just boxing at the time. And boxing was not going to be it. And of course, certain styles were practiced. There was some propaganda and press release saying for judo for the ladies back in the mid 1880s because of all what was going on with the Jack the Ripper killings back in the UK. So there was a lot of self-defense parts in there, was judo and stuff like that, but it wasn't really considered as a sport. Boxing was. So Getting more into the history of boxing, it was a total blood sport. You had a lot of underground fighting. You had a lot of bare knuckle fighting. Now, when boxers, it's really quite clear how boxing has actually changed over the centuries. One of the early photos you can see a boxer is that he's got hands like this. One hand straight up, the other one's back, and you can see how the side pose is like this, but never, or even like this. This is basically how they use to punch. So every time they throw a jab, you can see how this is going to come straight back, and it's coming like that. So in some ways, Wing Chun the same way. The only thing is that when they're punching in Wing Chun, it's a little more fast paced. Every single punch, whereas Wing Chun, boxing, MMA, has to be like a battering ram or like a wrecking ball. It has to go through. See? The more power you put into your punches, the more your opponent will keep flying. The only problem is it takes a lot to put an opponent down. It's not just by one punch, boom. Or like when Bruce Lee put it. Now, of course, that's just a water bag. It doesn't not that full. So, excuse me. It takes a lot to try to put one opponent down, and not just a 1-inch punch either. Opponent not just going to be standing there. He's going to be moving along with you. But bare knuckle fighting, all nothing but bare knuckles with a hand wrap. And a lot of, if you can understand, a lot of opponents broke their hands because it takes a lot of muscles in there. And when you punch the head is basically a football helmet. Real thick. And it's designed that way to protect the brain. But when you see more fighters getting brain damage day after day after day, now most of them, of course, from the ring, because they're wearing the gloves. Excuse me. They're wearing gloves kind of like these. Of course, these are very thin bag gloves, like this to protect the hand, but it does not stop the power. Getting punched with these, it's almost like getting hit by a big boulder. That's why you should always treat your punches like wrecking balls. They just go all the way through and you follow through as well. So, can't stand on his feet. So anyways, every single punch got to be like a wrecking ball. Now boxers, of course, for 2 centuries, has changed the regulations about boxing. They make the mitts a lot bigger. They went from 15 rounds to down to 10 rounds because a lot of fighters were getting brain damage. So the punches really have, the regulations have changed, but the punches still stay the same, to where it's always a straight jab first, and always a cross, or anything you want to follow up with a jab, or combinations, like with a body shot, uppercuts to the face, hooks to the body. They all, the fundamental of the punches has always stayed the same. But like I said, when it comes to bare knuckle fighting, your hand ain't gonna last that long, unless you have trained like in the Shaolin Temple. They train their hands to be as solid as a rock. That's why most of the time when you ever see calluses on their hands, because they've been training them, and it takes about 20 years. It takes about 20 years to get calluses on their hands. But there's a bad side effect about it though. You can easily get arthritis in your hands so bad that you can't even close your fists because it's so badly damaged. So be sure you know exactly what you're training for and know exactly what method to do. Or the best way is consult with your doctor first before you try any kind of combat sport. And also make sure that your kids can actually go through the training without getting seriously injured. So parents, always be sure you know exactly what your kids are learning. So I'm going to show a couple of punches. I already show you what the boxer punches mostly are, and a little bit of Wing Chun and the 1-inch punch. So here, when it comes to karate punch, it's mostly just straightforward. So basically my karate stand and hey! And that is just the number one scoring technique, the reverse punch. It's very quick, it's very fast. And the reason why it's called the number one scoring technique is that whenever you try to set one up, like if I want to set him up to get, say, in his gut, to get his guard up first, it's very fast and very powerful. Very accurate if you know how to do it right. The second one is the back fist. Very simple. Basically going from here, back hand, back fist. But you're closing the entire fist. Try not to telegraph, because if you bring it all the way back, that's telegraph. It's best to try to stay almost like a jab. The only thing you're turning over, bring it back. So that's the back fist. Now the thing is, with the back fist, you're punching with just the top knuckles. Same thing with the reverse punch. Well, that's basically in every punch. But the thing is that with the back fist, the back of the hand, back of the knuckles. A lot of people, when they think about punching, they think it's just mostly the front knuckles. That's the great way to get them broke. It's a great way to break your knuckles, a great way to break your fingers. It's the top knuckles that what matters. That goes the boom like that. All right. So that was the reverse punch and back fist, and then of course you got your basic straight punches. Low punch, middle punch, middle punch. Looks like basically like a cross from boxing. So you can see like here. And this is what karate usually stands by. They usually stand in one stand, and either in the flying stance or in the horse stance, and go ho, 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 straight forward. If you ever want to practice punching, you can always start from low from first. Boom, 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 boom. Work your way up to the face. Something like that. So you got low, medium, high punches. Very basic. Along with a back fist, reverse punch. And those are the basic punches. In martial arts, of course. Alright, show you Wing Chun. They usually try to keep their power in, so keep all static. But the problem with both Kung Fu and karate, it's just the same as everything. It's very stationary, very static. You're not going to be doing this all day to your opponent. Your opponent's going to move, and you're going to keep moving along with your opponent. Because what's the first rule about not getting hit? Move. You're going to move, your opponent's going to move. It's going to sometimes can get out of hand. That's why we do combinations. Where with punches or kicks, we do combinations so we can try to get one up for our opponents. So, that's today's video when it comes to punching. The next thing I'm going to do is probably show you the first kata in Tang-Soo-Do kata. Just as advice, when you're practicing your punches, start slow and at half power, or at least 1/4 of a power, so you can get the endurance going with your hands and your whole body. Remember what's being told. The punch comes all the way from the legs, build up, and go straight into the shoulder and into the arm, into the hand. Boom. All one energy. You pour everything you got into one punch. The problem is that every time you put your weight into it and you miss, you're putting you're putting all your energy into it, and that is a great way to get you tired. So be mindful when you train to train it out slow and carefully, then build your endurance and build your speed up in order to get more faster and more hard punches. So don't go straight to the reps just yet. Work your way up. So, like I said, that's the end of today's video. And next time I'll be showing you the first kata, because that's where it all basically all comes together. It all comes down to where you use movement, you use blocks, and you use your punches as the first kata. And what better basic than to do that? You put them all in one. So, this is Albert McDowell, signing off.